again, about $1 million in ARA money. And because we were able to spread that money out, we were able to actually preserve about $340,000 for FY12. That's gone now. So we stretched that out for 3 years. So now we have to find other ways to try to get to where we want to be for a level services budget. I would like to take some initiatives, and would be anxious to hear if people have any initiatives that they would like us to consider. I know, Mike, everybody on the board has probably had some ideas, but we're in a kind of a holding pattern. And I'm not sure that the future is going to permit us to go where we want to go. We certainly don't want to take a step back, so we certainly want to maintain what we have. And we feel that, again, staffing, class size programs are important, that we not reduce those areas. But we can only go so far. A big part of what we've tried to do over the last 4 or 5 years is to implement fees and then increase those fees. Well, we're at the max. We can't implement any more fees, and we can't increase the fees at all.
We could, but we won't.
Well, yeah, I think that the consensus on the committee is that we don't want to do that. So we've tried to do that, and again, we've obviously taken the funds from the federal government, we've used those, but we're basically at a point where each year is almost a new mystery going forward, so. And unfortunately, the answers to those mysteries don't come until about this time of the year every year as well. Does anybody else in the committee want to comment on?
We could use about another $500,000 right now in this budget that we're putting together. And that would cover the initiatives that the superintendent has come up with, and it would cover the 283 that we're short. That would be this year. We realize that's not in the revenue stream.
And the other thing, the other X factor, the other variable is that we are in the middle right now of collective bargaining with our teachers union, which is the largest union that we have to deal with. I think it's almost 230 people in that union, so we're in the middle of doing that. And that's a little bit of an X factor right now as well, so.
Jerry, I just wanted to add, the superintendent mentioned, I think you said drop off of 59 students at the elementary level, or 69?
69.
69. And so some people might hear that and say, oh, well, you should be able to cut 3 teachers. Well, we can't, we are looking at reducing some teachers, but that's spread across 3 schools. So it's not like you're cutting.
In 5 grades, or
in 5
6 grades, including kindergarten.
That's correct.
Now,
So,
the
6 grades.
superintendent has taken a close look at some areas we can cut back, but we have increasing needs at the middle and the high school. And then we also have increasing special education needs. And I think that what you're going to see when we finally get around to this final plan is some elementary school positions gone, but new positions in special ed and at the high school and middle school, because that's where, and the one thing I keep warning people, and I know I keep being told, oh, they do all these surveys and they know how many kids are moving in, et cetera. I live in a neighborhood where most of the people are old like me, and their families, their kids are in high school, college, or they're out. In the last 3 months, there have been 5 houses sold in my neighborhood, and every single one sold to a family with 1, 2, or 3 children not yet in school. So I don't know how the state figures this out, but I just look at my neighborhood and I'm saying there's like 10, 15 kids in just those 5 houses that aren't in school yet. And they'll all be, in my district, they'll all be in the little school. And I worry about that because Bob and the selectmen would probably know this better, but if you look at when a lot of the development took place in this town, I think a lot of that housing stock in the next 5 to 10 years is going to turn over in a big way, and we're going to see a huge influx of families with young kids into this town. So, while we have a reduction today, we saw it. How many years ago did we have over 3,000 students in the system?
Well, the highest since I've been involved is about 2,850 students.
Right, and then we went down to it went down pretty low, and then we started.
At one time in the early 90s, the enrollment in North Reading was about 1,850,
Right.
1,880 students. And then a couple of years ago, we got up to over 2,800, and we're close to 2,800 now.
We are.
26.
26.
2,600 and something. So it's been a huge increase over the last basically 20 years
Yes.
in enrollment. The other thing that Mel brought up, and I want to point out, is that staffing-wise, we have stayed level staffing. We don't have any additional bodies over the last, 3 or 4 fiscal years at least. The staffing levels have stayed the same. The enrollment has varied maybe just a little bit, gone down a little bit, but there's been a shift in the enrollment too. So, again, any other questions or comments from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Sue Shed, 6 Fox Run.
There's still what I see as a very critical gap at the middle school in that in our 8th grade, we still have double study halls 1/4 of the year. It's impossible for those students to use that time productively, especially in the morning. They become bored, disengaged, and I think it's really important that, I mean, as a district, I think we should make a policy that that situation can't ever occur, but I'd like to see that closed in this budget session.
Good suggestion.
Thank
Kathy,
you.
do you want to
Thank you.
respond to that?
I would. Again, that was part of the budget vision in year one, to eliminate study halls at the middle school. The additional, I believe it was $72,000 that was needed in order to do that was not included in the preliminary budget. But I can tell you that Principal Catherine O'Connell and I have been in conversations very recently, as recent as last week, to be taking a look at the current enrollment and seeing if there's a way to restructure current staffing in order to omit those study halls. I haven't presented anything to the school committee yet because we're still working the numbers. But I am hopeful. I can't promise it right now, but I am hopeful. It is a top priority of all of ours. When I was doing my entry plan 2 years ago, it's probably one of the #1 priorities that was mentioned to me by parents and staff and community members. Eliminate the study halls.
The whole committee's in agreement with you, by the way. I mean, that's been something that we've been trying to work on for a while.
Jerry, Kathy, I know you did present that once, but could you
Yes.
just present again what your ideas were at the middle school to help eliminate those study halls?
Sure. We have two half-time positions right now in the middle school that we would like to make full-time. One of those is the current health position. We only have a part-time, .5 health teacher for 3 grades at the middle school. It's very important that we have a full-time health position for obvious reasons. Middle schoolers are going through all kinds of physical and emotional changes, and we want to make sure that they have the information that they need in addition to what their parents provide for them around health, wellness, and nutrition. So we feel that that's a very important place to increase, as well as robotics. We have made a priority to increase our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programming for all students, kindergarten through grade 12. And we have implemented a robotics class this year, and it is highly successful. The students love it. It really gets at the physical sciences of technology engineering, and so we have proposed to offer robotics to all 3 grade levels by making that a full-time class, which really will jumpstart our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics initiative at the middle school. So those are the 2 areas. We just need to increase 2 positions by half-time each, and by all of the analysis that both the principal and the assistant principal have done, it will take care of the middle school study halls.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Deanna? Oh, Marcy, go ahead, and then Deanna.
I'm glad to hear that the committee is putting a priority on eliminating study halls at the middle school,
Yes.
because I just wanted to concur that I think that that's hugely important. I also want to thank the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the School Committee for working together. While a $283,000 deficit might not sound wonderful, it's about the best I've heard ever at this point in
Yes.
time.
I
And
was
this
pretty
is,
pleased,
maybe the economy is getting better,
Yeah.
and Mother Nature shined on us, but this is really the most positive budget meeting I've attended at this, this point in the season.
Yes.
So thank you all so much, and I'm very encouraged. I have one question that maybe is more for the Board of Selectmen than the school committee. There's been some talk in the news lately that lottery aid to cities and towns might increase, and had we won the lottery, I would have taken care of that deficit.
In the school, Marcy, in the school.
Yes, no, and it's true. I said it to people before, so, but I was wondering where you had state aid currently and whether you do expect any benefit from lottery aid or any other state aid?
Currently, we're using the governor's state aid figures. I've had discussions with Representative Brad Jones. There was a hint that the House was interested in providing some additional revenues. Wasn't clear as to whether it was Chapter 70 or unrestricted state aid. He then also said, and this is kind of very frustrating, that the Senate was thinking of maybe increasing it more, and there was a little jostling around as to the House didn't want to be the bad guys in all of this. And he had hopes that they would get together like they did last year number, and he said, hopefully by the end of April. I don't know if you've got some connections there, Karen. Have you heard anything else?
I think it's all posturing.
All positive.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I'm keeping my fingers
It's my
crossed that
opinion.
there'll be a little additional state aid.
And if they can keep that Mega Millions going, like they did the last time, that'll increase revenues. Of course, it takes money out of your pocket, but
The Marcy Bailey School sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm rooting for you, Marcy, to hit that. I just hope we see you again after you do.
I have it documented now.
Yeah.
Yes, we know. Yes, oh my God.
Laurie.
Laurie Capizzuto. It's the Capizzuto night here.
Good evening, thank you. Lori Capizzuto, 12 Grand Drive. I feel like I'm a town meeting. Anyway, I am really curious about your projections for special ed in terms of costs projected out. Obviously, Mel, you make a great point about enrollments. You know, we're dipping. My own neighborhood, 10 years ago, very small street, we had 19 kids on the bus to the Hood School, 19 kids. I used to have the youngest child. Not anymore. He's 10 years old. We have a whole new wave of kids. Not in school. Not in school. We have Lowell Road. A lot of kids coming into the district. So I'm just curious about where you see our special ed budget going forward.
Well, special ed's a real variable. Kyle, do you want to speak to that?
I will, along with the superintendent. We alluded earlier about the adjustments that we make in the budget. Even though our FTE is forecast to be either identical or very identical to this year, we are making a series of adjustments, and many of them do involve special ed. I'm going to cede this to the superintendent.
Thank you. We will be adding some positions for next year, particularly in the language-based program area. As students move from one level to the next, we need to make sure that we provide those same services to those students. So we will be adding a .5 language teacher at the middle school and a 1.0 language-based program teacher at the high school. In addition, we have some children that are moving into the district, as well as moving from the primary grades into the intermediate elementary grades. So we need to increase our PDD, pervasive developmental delay staffing. So we hope to be adding another teacher in that area. By adding these professionals in our district, we are maintaining or creating programs that keep students in district to receive in-district programming instead of leaving our district to attend a school outside of the North Reading Public Schools. And as we all know, sometimes when students attend school outside of the North Reading Public Schools, it costs more. And so it's really cost-effective for us to be hiring special education staff to keep our students in district. And so those are the projections that we see for next year. While it sounds like we're hiring a lot of staff, we are really saving money. So it is a strategy.
Jerry, just to
Follow-up?
Go ahead, Laura.
I'm sorry, follow-up. Where do you see the support staff in terms of special ed? You're hiring teachers, but in terms of just the support staff for SPED?
Sure. I think that based on what is written into a child's individual education plan, whether it's a high level of assistance or whether or not a co-taught class requires additional special education support. At this particular time, I believe there's maybe one additional paraprofessional that will be hired for next year. For students that are leaving the system, those paraprofessionals that may have been associated with those students are being reassigned. So we're able to absorb some of those costs by restructuring those positions into programs where we will see an increase. So I don't see any significant increases in that area, but I work very closely with Patricia Bullitt, our Director of Pupil Personnel Services, to make sure that the staffing is adequate for all of our students that are on IEPs.
Well, just Kathy, could you clarify, when you say language-based, we're
Yes.
not talking English as a second language or foreign language.
No.
Could you clarify what that?
Sure. Students that have disabilities that are considered to be language disabilities, either their receptive language or their expressive language, are, and if they're severe enough, they're assigned to what's called a language-based program. So it has to do with a level of disability that they may have.
Thank you, Kathy. Deanna, do you have something else you want to?